How good is the new Brawler BIBI? Well, you're gonna find that out exactly in this video right here, where we do a 1 versus 1 versus a pro player for every single Brawler. This is not just some 1 versus 1 where we're just standing next to each other spamming the auto aim button. No, this is a real 1 versus 1 versus a pro for every single Brawler in a real environment. Find out exactly how good BIBI is in this video right here. Let's do it. Okay, first off, huge shout out to Ash, the pro player who helped me get these 1v1s gameplay. Now, we spent about 2 hours or more getting these 1v1s, and a lot of these brawlers we tested multiple times because we wanted to make sure we got a good feel for how well that 1v1 went. Now, if you're looking for pro gameplay, definitely go check out Ash. He has really good quality content, and I'll put a link to his channel down below in the description. Okay, really quickly, let me explain how this 1v1 works. Now, we ended up not using supers for these 1v1 fights because we wanted to simulate the beginning of a fight. We also wanted to keep it the same for every single fight as far as comparison's sake. Now, I'm gonna be rating every single brawler from 1 to 5 on how well that matchup favors BIBI or not. From 1, it's gonna be BIBI rarely wins that fight. A 2 is gonna be BIBI usually loses that fight, or BIBI loses that fight more often than not. A 3 is gonna be an even matchup for the most part. A 4 is gonna be it favors BIBI more often than not, or BIBI wins that fight more often than not. And a 5 is BIBI usually wins that fight. All right, so keep that in mind because I will be using that scale throughout this whole video. Also, at the end, I'll be doing a conclusion on how strong BIBI actually is and some advanced tips to make sure you can play as well as possible with her. Really quickly, take a look at this because this is going to impact this whole thing. BIBI is horrible at what I call peek shotting, which is shooting around a wall. Look at this. She can barely shoot. She really cannot shoot around walls, and this is part of the reason she's so bad. She's so bad at chasing enemies because even if she can catch up to them, she doesn't hit around walls well. So it really doesn't even work that well for her. All right, let's get right into it. Now, we're gonna do this list for the most part in order by range. And starting off with the shortest, we got Mortis. Now, Mortis is gonna be a 5 for BIBI. Now, for the most part, BIBI can do really well versus Mortis. The only thing you can say for Mortis is once BIBI knocks back Mortis with her home run ability, Mortis can escape pretty easily. Now, in that case, fine, no one really wins, but if Mortis actually tries to kill BIBI, BIBI should win that a heavy majority of the time. Mortis can kind of dodge BIBI's attacks technically, so if you do get unlucky, then you might actually miss a decent amount of shots. But if you're just spamming the auto aim button, you really should win this matchup versus Mortis. El Primo, this is gonna be a 1 for BIBI. BIBI is usually going to lose this fight. Tank on tank matchup, BIBI has a good amount less health than El Primo. BIBI does do good damage, but actually that knockback really doesn't favor her that much, especially if you factor in a super. If El Primo is her super, she definitely loses. This is not a great matchup for BIBI because of how much health El Primo has, and it just takes way too long for BIBI to kill El Primo. Now, Rosa is also going to be a 1 for BIBI. It's just not a good matchup. Obviously, they're very similar brawlers, and obviously, if you factor in Rosa's super, it's gonna be even worse because, yeah, Rosa. Bull is gonna be a 2. Now, if Bull gets in point-blank range, you are just gonna get destroyed by Bull. Of course, BIBI has a good amount lower health, and Bull has really good burst damage, not to mention his star power. He can just keep on shooting out those shots. Now, if Bull plays really aggro and you can knock him back and he keeps on staying aggro, just doing minimum chip damage, you can definitely out damage Bull and then you can win. But if he's able to get really close to you, then you're definitely gonna get destroyed. And for the most part, BIBI has a really short range, so it really never favors her that much. Daryl is gonna be a 2 as well. Now, I also know I said we weren't trying to use supers during this, but we wanted to use Daryl's super just to activate his star power. We weren't trying to get a knockback from his roll. We really just wanted the star power going. And in this matchup, I mean, if Daryl has his shield up, it's just gonna take too many hits. And on top of that, Daryl can just escape too easily if the matchup isn't going his way. Also, Daryl has a kind of long range for a tank, so he can get some chip shots while BIBI really can't. I mean, BIBI's range is actually really short. If you're trying to chase someone, it's very difficult to get those hits, especially considering when you knock someone back, it just knocks them back out of BIBI's range, which is not gonna help her get any kills. Also, let me take this moment to just quickly give a quick analysis slash pro tip sort of thing for BIBI. First off, in a 1 versus 1, her knockback or her home run ability is actually pretty detrimental because for the most part it knocks them out of BIBI's range. And the only time this is ever really a good thing for BIBI is if 1, she's trying to escape, or 2, she knocks them into a wall. In other words, she knocks them, but they don't actually escape. So that's really the only time her knockback is actually useful. For the most part, her knockback is actually pretty detrimental in a 1 versus 1 as far as trying to get the kill. If you're trying to survive, then it's definitely helpful. And this is just 1 versus 1 scenarios. In 3 versus 3, or in 2 versus 2, or in objective scenarios, her knockback can have more purpose. But if we're just trying to get kills in 1 versus 1, a lot of times that knockback isn't that great unless it's into a wall. So you're gonna notice that a lot throughout these clips. You're gonna see times where I'm actually able to get that knockback and they hit a wall and I'm able to keep up with them and keep on getting hits. But for a lot of the times I get that knockback and they just can run away, and then it's a problem. Frank is going to be a 2. Now Frank was almost a 3, but honestly his incredibly high health kind of stopped that from happening, because yeah, Frank, you can get in close range fairly easily, and Frank's gonna be the one brawler where you can knock him back, and if he ever tries to attack you, well, he's not going to be able to escape, right? Frank's the one brawler where he can maybe run, but if he wants to attack you, then it's just not going to work at all. He can't run and attack. So you can kind of deal with Frank, but he has so much health, and just like BIBI, they have basically the same reload, so they can both spam attacks really, really fast. So in that case, it's sort of a toss-up, but Frank can get more, Frank has a much higher health amount, so in that sense, it tends to favor him a little bit more, especially when you factor in the stun. I also want to say, take a look at this clip right here. As far as trying to time the home run ability to try and disrupt Frank's stun, it's actually really difficult. You can see in this clip, Ash and I were talking on voice chat, and I knew when he was going to do it, and I tried to time it. In the first one, I didn't auto-aim, and I just did it normally, but the second one, I did it as soon as I saw him go. I auto-aimed and did it right away, and then I was able to disrupt. For the most part, though, it's pretty hard for BIBI to time that home run ability and actually stop a Frank super from happening. Now, Shelly. Shelly is going to be a 2. I mean, in this matchup, Shelly just has enough range to be a big problem for BIBI, because BIBI is going to be forced to walk into the Shelly, which is always a bad thing. You do not want to walk into a Shelly, because it's just going to allow, all Shelly is to do is walk backwards, and BIBI's going to be forced to go into her shots and just do more damage, and Shelly's going to be able to, for the most part, stay out of her range. And then if you do get that knockback home run ability, all of a sudden Shelly's in the clear again. And if we're factoring super into this, it's even more of a problem. So really, while Shelly, it's going to take her a decent amount of time to maybe get that kill, Shelly will end up, for the most part, usually getting that kill, unless you can knock Shelly into a wall, and then you can 3-shot Shelly, and then it's not that bad. Unless she has her super maybe. Versus Leon, it's going to be a 3. Now, in an open field, the Leon should win, but if you can knock the Leon into a wall with his really low health, you can definitely win that matchup, even though he does a lot of damage at close range. With that knock, it's a really good stun, and if you hit a wall, then it's definitely good. Also, it's more of a 3 partly because BIBI, with that really fast move speed, can dodge Leon shots. Leon shots are definitely dodgeable at medium to long range, so you can definitely factor that in and allow BIBI to get close enough to pressure Leon and do enough damage to make it more of an even matchup. Now versus Nita, Nita is going to be a 3, and honestly this matchup, it's almost like impossible for both of them to kill each other. It's incredibly annoying matchup, because here's what happens. If you're the Nita, you just keep your distance and you can out-chip that BIBI so easily. And as a BIBI, it's very difficult to kill that Nita, but as a Nita, it's very difficult to kill the BIBI, because BIBI, as soon as she gets to medium to low health, it just backs away. And with her faster move speed, Nita's not going to catch up. So really, neither of them can kind of kill each other, and that's why it's a 3. Now, if you can catch the Nita into a wall, then sure, you can get that kill, but a lot of times, Nita is going to be able to have a fast enough reload speed to get a lot of damage out on you, and it's still going to be a difficult matchup. If you factor in the bear as well, it'll be a little bit more difficult. But in a lot of situations, you can knock back that bear if you're trying to escape, and the bear is not a problem as far as running away. only if you're being really aggressive. Versus Tara, it's going to be a 4, although if you are factoring in the super, it's going to be a 3 because that is a strong super. But for the most part, while Tara does have a long range, she doesn't have a very fast reload speed and her chip damage is pretty low. So BIBI can definitely use her really quick movement speed to get close enough to be able to just do 3 shots on Tara and finish her off. Well, if she does have her super, it's going to be a problem, but if she doesn't, it's definitely not that big of a deal because her reload's not that slow and her chip is not that high, as I said. Versus Poco, finally another 5 for BIBI. I mean, I think this one is pretty self-explanatory. Poco does very low damage overall per second, doesn't do much damage per shot unless Poco's hitting multiple people. In this case, it's a 1 versus 1, so it's definitely going to favor BIBI, and it's not a super difficult one. Carl is going to be a 2. Now, Carl is a hard brawler to walk into who has an attack that is very lane controlling. On top of that, while BIBI is good with walls, so is Carl. Carl also likes walls around him, and he can do a ton of damage in those scenarios. The one thing that sort of favors BIBI is BIBI with that really quick movement speed from her home run ability, or star power home run ability, can dodge some of Carl's shots decently well. It's going to be hard for Carl to get a double damage shot a lot of times, but is going to be able to get consistent chip damage. And once you get in close range, especially if there's walls around, Carl can deal a lot of damage, especially if you factor in the super. Versus Crow, this is going to be a 1. This is a very bad matchup for BIBI because Crow has a faster movement speed than BIBI, although with the home run, BIBI can catch up, but honestly, it just doesn't work out for BIBI because Crow is just going to chip BIBI all the way down. And if you do get that home run knockback on Crow, guess what? You just helped Crow out because even though you were suddenly close, you just knocked him away. And now he's just going to keep on chipping you again and again. And you're going to be close enough that it's going to be a really decent amount of damage. And it's going to be a fast enough real speed. It's not going to matter. Crow's going to win this one pretty easily. Versus Barley, this is going to be a 2. Now you would think with a thrower that's low health and BIBI has a fast movement speed, this should be a pretty decent matchup for BIBI. But in a 1 versus 1, when you know they're coming and you're not surprised, you can throw those shots down and they're either forced to walk into them or they got to back away. So in that case, it makes it really difficult for BIBI because it's just, especially if there's a wall involved, it's going to be really difficult for her to catch up without taking a ton of damage because BIBI, unlike other tanks, does not have an incredibly high amount of health and doesn't have any sort of damage reduction. So as far as the close range brawlers go, she doesn't have a ton of health to protect her to help her win this matchup. She does have fast movement speed, but it's not enough to be able to escape those Barley attacks and not take enough damage to be able to win this a lot of times. If you can surprise the Barley, it can definitely work out. But especially with the star power combined, you got to get at least 3 hits on the Barley, and if your home run ability knocks the Barley back, that is definitely going to be a problem. Now, Dinah Mike is actually going to be a 5, and this one I think makes a lot more sense because Dinah Mike's attack is a lot smaller, and BIBI with the very fast movement speed from her home run ability is going to be able to dodge those Dinah Mike shots pretty dang well. So in this case versus a thrower, because you can dodge these shots a lot easier than the Barley ones, it's actually going to favor BIBI a lot, and it should be a pretty easy matchup for her the majority of the time. Now Spike, this one's going to be a 1 for BIBI. This does not favor her at all. I mean, you think about it, Spike is a beast versus tanks, and BIBI is a lower health tank, so it does not work. You do not want to run into a Spike, and that's what happens in this, and it just does not work out well for BIBI at all. And this is not even considering supers. If you consider super, it's even worse for BIBI. You do not really want to face a Spike. Yes, you can 2-shot a Spike, but if you knock back the Spike, that just helps them out so much, and they're just going to destroy you and get really good damage. Versus Gene, this is going to be a 3. Now for Gene, the problem is Gene has such a long range and he has a decent amount of health. He doesn't do a ton of damage per shot. This is why it's more of a 3, but it takes at least 4 hits to kill the Gene, and it takes Gene 5 hits to kill the BIBI. But Gene has a much longer range. Now, of course, BIBI does have the very quick movement speed, so BIBI can dodge some of those shots for sure. So this is where it's more of an even matchup. It's going to depend on how well the BIBI can dodge shots until BIBI gets within range, and if you can use a wall to keep the Gene within your range after you knock them back or not. Versus Jessie, this is going to be a 4. You can definitely dodge some of those Jessie shots, and she doesn't do a ton of damage per hit, so this is not that bad of a matchup for BIBI. Now, if you're factoring in the super and Jessie uses her turret, well, BIBI is horrible versus turrets, and it's just not going to work out well. In that case, it'd be more of a 3 because you're not really going to be able to take out the turret, although you can definitely run away from it. no super, this is definitely a favorable matchup for BIBI. And for Penny, this is going to be a 4 as well, maybe more of a 5, but it's definitely a very similar matchup. Both those brawlers, Penny and Jessie, have a long range, so they can attack BIBI for a long time, but they don't do much damage, and they don't have an amazing reload. Versus Pam, this is going to be a 2. It's very, very difficult to dodge Pam shots once you're in medium range near the Pam. Medium to short range, you're going to take a ton of damage versus that Pam, and she's going to be healing up with her star power, and this is even without her turret. You can definitely dodge her attacks at long range with your really quick movement speed, so you can get within range. If you can make the Pam waste shots, then you definitely have a good chance versus the Pam. But otherwise, it's not going to work out that well for you just because she does a ton of damage at close range. Bo, now this is more of a 2 or a 3, but I'm leaning towards putting it as a 3. Bo does have a really good amount of health, and he has decent damage, but a BIBI can definitely dodge a lot of the Bo shots with that really quick movement speed, and that's where this is more of an even matchup. If Bo plays it really smart, he's going to save the majority of his ammo until that BIBI's in medium range, and then if the BIBI commits really hard, then Bo can destroy the BIBI because all those shots are going to connect in medium-ish range, especially in short range, especially if you knock back the Bo as well and keep that Bo in a really good distance for him to get a lot of damage. But if you're able to dodge enough shots until you get within close range, then the BIBI has a really good chance of winning. Versus Rico, this is going to be a 2. I mean, Rico is a very high damage brawler with a really high amount of range. You can definitely dodge some of those shots, but if you think about it, that home run ability is really detrimental in this case, because if you have a Rico in medium to short range of you, but you can't hit them, they are going to do so much damage to you. And that is exactly what happens every time you knock back a Rico. They're just going to melt you and do so much damage. So while you would think Rico low health, BIBI has really fast movement speed, you can dodge shots, get in close range, 2-shot the Rico, it's okay. But in order for that to really happen, you gotta waste 1 shot so you don't have the home run ability, and it really takes you 3 hits because you gotta waste a shot and then you're going in. And that whole time you're doing that, you're in close range, and Rico, who has a ton of damage per shot, is gonna melt you. Versus Colt, this is a 1, and this is even worse than Rico because Colt does a little bit more damage and he has a little bit more health, so he's not gonna get 2-shot, he's gonna take 3-shot, and this is where it just doesn't work out. Also, he has a faster move speed, so he can escape a little bit easier, and he's gonna be able to keep his distance a little bit easier. And look, it's similar with Rico. He's just going to melt you because he just does so much damage in medium to close range. Versus Piper's more of a 4 because Piper, you can dodge those shots, right? BIBI has a really quick movement speed, and especially versus Piper, she has a really slow reload, so if you can dodge a couple of them and then go in close range, it's really good for you, because especially too, you can close the distance pretty quickly and then minimize Piper's damage. Now, the one exception, if she does have her super, is she can super away. Of course, she's got to hit those shots in the first place to make that happen, and you do have that quick movement speed to make it difficult for Piper to do that, so this is definitely a favorable matchup for BIBI, although it's maybe not incredibly easy. With Brock, it's going to be more of a 3. Now, BIBI can definitely take on a Brock and dodge some of those shots, but on the other side of the coin, Brock only has to hit 4 shots to kill the BIBI, and once BIBI is in medium range, it's not that hard to auto-aim spam those shots with the explosion for Brock shots to get a good amount of hits. So if Brock can get 1 or 2 hits from long range, then all of a sudden Brock is in a good situation. But if you can catch that Brock near a wall, or you can dodge some of those shots, and you can definitely win this. And now, before my conclusion and some extra tips for how to play BIBI really well, BIBI versus BIBI. This 1v1 is incredibly annoying, and honestly it comes down to whoever can get the home run ability on the other BIBI and push them into a wall. It has to be a home run knock that gets them into a wall, because this way you essentially get a free attack on that BIBI, and that's really the main way you win this matchup, and it's a very annoying way to do so. Now, my conclusion on BIBI and some tips for playing her. Look, with BIBI, she's not a very good 1v1 brawler, as you probably noticed from all of my rankings with this. It's that knockback. That knockback is too strong in order to be good at getting kills. But on the other side of the coin, while BIBI is not good at getting kills, she is really good at generating pressure on the enemy and forcing them to move around the map. While she maybe not be able to get many kills, she's going to push enemies back with a really quick movement speed and ability to dodge shots. She's going to be able to put herself in a favorable position, and then maybe she can go in for the kill. That's really how you're gonna have to play BIBI. So what you're gonna have to do is waste a shot sometimes once you get near someone so you don't knock them back. That way you can keep on spamming your attacks on them without them getting out of range. But this is also very risky because of course, you have to get point blank close to someone so you can waste an attack, and this way you no longer have your home run ability, so you don't have that extra speed, and this is why you gotta get really close to someone so that way they're not running away from you. But then, of course, you're giving them another opportunity to get easy damage on you. So wasting an attack so you don't get that home run ability can only work versus low health brawlers. Brawlers that don't take as many hits for you to kill. That way it doesn't take as much time for you to kill them. If you want more 1v1 breakdowns like this one, let me know down below in the comments, and I'd love to hear your feedback. But that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you later.